Okay, so I haven't attempted something like this before, but I'm going to try to do an onboard commentary. I have 2 laps back to back. They're both mid 204s. I think the first lap I can just do a hot lap commentary. Bear with me, I'm no Martin Brundle, but on the second lap we can slow it down and I can give you some tips for certain corners. This is what works for me. I would consider my car more of a momentum car than anything else, especially with altitude. I have about 190 to the wheels, and I'm in about a 3,200 pound car with me in it. So I consider myself a momentum car, and these are the lines I take, very similar to some of the Porsches and Miatas. I'll try to explain why I do things a certain way and why you may want to take a turn differently, but otherwise I'm trying not to make this too long, so just want to give you some quick tips and hopefully you get something from it. So yeah, we're just gonna head into our first lap here. And we're not gonna pause this one, we're just gonna see it all the way through, and then I'll slow it down on the second one. So the start finish straight, coming into turn 1, this is a fast turn, you can take a lot into it. Outside curve is friendly, but the gravel there is not. Turn 2, middle of the road, try to carry as much speed through here because your speed out of this turn dictates your speed down the back straights. Don't dip your wheels onto the gravel like I did, and cut this corner if you can. Now you're on the half-mile back straight. Look over to the right. Are there any flags? Are there flags in front of you? Check your temperatures. Relax your hands. Look in your mirrors. Take a breath. Turn 4, hardest braking. Boom, hit it. Don't run off. Inside, touch the curb. Run as wide as you can. Try to take as much speed through there. Middle of the road, chuck her in. Throwaway corner. Run wide. Just don't touch the gravel. Brake in a straight line. Turn in super late. One of the hardest turns on the entire track. Curb on the outside is very friendly. I turn in early here. Full throttle. Maybe slight lift just to settle the front. Turn in early, use the whole track on the left to avoid the curb. Brake in a straight line. Turn in at the final bollards. Try not to drift. Get a semi-late apex there and use all the track on the outside. Don't touch the curb on the inside. It'll unsettle you for braking. Quick jab with the brakes, throw her in, get on throttle. That dip likes to be taken on throttle. Just like turn 2, middle of the road, throw her in. Try to be full throttle as soon as you can. Up this hill, makes your car feel painfully slow. Stay to the left, now get to the right. Brake early because you can turn in super early. Cut the entire corner as much as you can. Friendly curb. Missed the second curb, missed a third curb, and you are full throttle back into turn 1 on the start finish straight. There you go. Alright, so let's go into the second lap that's following this, and you'll be able to see a slightly different lap with a very similar times. So, into turn 1. My braking point is the second to last bollard. I turn in early because the curb on the outside is quite friendly, but like I said, do not hit the gravel. Not a hard braking zone, light on the brakes, and then I'm turning in and I'm aiming for the middle of the curve, and I normally just run a little bit wide. Boom, late apex on turn 1. Now I'm aiming for the curb. I'm trying to open up my steering so I can get my right-left wheel on this curb. Turn 2, very important. Don't come all the way to the left. This is one of the turns, and I'll point it out in the other ones, where you can see these dark patches. This is refinished, so don't look at that. But the dark patches here, it's much lighter over here. All the grip is where the rubber's being laid down here. And the rubber's being laid down here for 2 reasons. One is being laid down by the people who are taking the outside line by their inside tires, and it's being laid down by the cars taking the inside line by their outside tires. So if you can hook your tires up, whether it be your inside or outside tires, onto this line, then you can carry so much speed through it. Find out what works best for your car. For me, outside tires on this works best for me. So come in, brake in a straight line, we're hard, now we're trail braking until there. That's when I could feel that the car, I had scrubbed enough speed, because I carried just a tiny bit too much speed in there, until I feel the car hook up, and now I can hug this corner. And full throttle, all the way on to turn 3. Slight lift there, you'll get it. Just avoid that inside curb, It can unsettle you. However, if you are going in too fast, you can hit that curb and it will pop your rear end out a little bit, and that saved me a couple times because this outside curb is super slippery and you really don't want to go into this brick wall. I cut this because the shorter the track, the faster the time. However, I'm able to do that while full throttle as I don't have enough power to make my car push wide out of turn 3. So if you have a lot of power, you may find that in order to stay full throttle after turn 3, you have to run a wider line. I recommend staying full throttle because this is a half-mile straight and all your speed is made from your acceleration out of turn 2 and onto turn 3. So try to take the inside line as inside as your car will allow you. Once again, back straight. So what do? We check our temps. It's a hot day. My coolant's running a little hot. Look in the mirrors. Flex your hands. Take a breath. Look around you. Something to note. Yeah, there's flag stations at the end of the straight, but you can also see turn 8 right here. You can see the final chicane right here. And you can also see the start-finish straight when you look to the right. So these are all flags, stations, and everything that you can also be looking at to give you a heads up when you're a couple sectors before it. So yeah, just remember, keep looking around. It's a hot day, so we short shift into 5th. It is faster to hit the rev limiter in 4th, but with my aero, I'm not really accelerating once I hit 115. I'm just kind of like going, so oh well. Turn 4, very controversial. So a lot of people, because this is the fastest that they're braking from, assume that it needs to be the hardest braking point. It's not the hardest braking point. I might have said that, but I didn't mean that. It's braking from the highest speed on the track. So some people are coming in here at like $130. Like I hit 115. So it's not as scary for me, but you don't need to brake hard here. In my opinion, the best way to take this turn is I lift and coast for about half a second, lets the car fully settle. And then I hit my brakes and I get off them as soon as I can. You can trail brake this corner, but only if you go in a little bit too hot. And then run wide. Run wide. So we're down in 4th. Now I'm back on the throttle and I'm running wide. Most people brake too much for that turn so that they can get over to the right for turn 5. In my opinion, turn 5 is a throwaway corner, and there's time to be made by cutting this corner instead of sacrificing your entrance into 4 to be able to get over wide. Just carry as much speed as you can through 4, run it wide, don't go too far, you can slide into this bunker. So it is a high-risk corner. I'm not saying it's not a high-risk corner, but run wide. And then just like turn 2, look at this dark patch right here in the middle. Dark patch. So try to straddle that with your tires. I come back middle of the road, quick downshift in the 3rd, and then turn in. I actually got a lot of grip, more so than I expected. So it turned in, and this curb can be taken. So instead of coming off the brakes and letting it coast, I just hold the steering angle, take the curb all the way through, full throttle. Once again, if you have a lot of power, you might be spinning up that inside wheel, so maybe don't do that. But that's my approach. This corner is extremely off camber, so that's kind of one of the reasons I don't try to make too much out of it. Like you can see when I'm coming in, it really dips away. So I just try to stay inside, get on the throttle as soon as I can, and then run wide. Run wide, 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 wide. You can straddle this line with your outside wheels because it's about 3 inches higher than the gravel, so you're good. You just ran wide. Now you got to come all the way left to one of the hardest corners. So there's 2 approaches. I'm going to go through my approach for probably the fastest lap time, and then the second approach is maybe something more like a racing line. So we can't see it yet, but you need to brake in a straight line for as long as you can. But the turn-in point is farther through the corner than you have track for. So you run out of track before the actual turn-in point. So you need to brake in a straight line, and now here, add a little bit of degrees to your steering wheel because you're running out of track, you have to turn in, and then trail brake this last section. So you're coming in, straight braking. Now we're starting to trail brake. We're letting off the brakes, but holding about 1/4 to half pressure as we're coming through. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it. Super hard to see. And I apologize, this is almost impossible for you to see, but there's a seam where a crack went through the entire track here, and it's been filled with a darker black filler. The turn-in point is where that line meets the edge of the track. Obviously, you run out of track before you can reach that point, which is why you're trail braking this last section, until you get as close to this point with your front left wheel before turning in. Trail braking, now full turn in once we hit that point. So one more time. All the way to the left, brake in a straight line. Then we start trail braking, brake in a straight line. Now we're trail braking from here on. Trail brake, now full turn in. And then try to get on the throttle as soon as you can. You can run wide. I actually have too much steering angle on here. I should have loosened up more and used this curb. This curb is pretty forgivable, and with my power, I don't spin up in second gear. The alternative line to that, you'll see a lot of Porsches taking it. What they do is, instead of braking straight here and then taking the late apex, they turn first and then brake in a straight line to the inside of the corner, and they make a triangle out of it. So there's two reasons why you may want to do that. One, maybe your car has a lot of power, and you don't need to carry all the momentum through here because you know that you won't be passed out of this turn, so you can build up all the speed you need out of that turn by sacrificing the entrance, which kind of leads us to reason number 2. In a race, taking this wide line, staying as wide as the line, is just inviting someone to dive up the inside. So by cutting over, you may be sacrificing maybe, I don't know, half a second, but you're defending your line, and no one will be able to just dive up your inside. So that's a good line to practice. It's a little bit harder because you need to turn in and then straighten up and then brake, but it's just something to play with. So brake straight, trail braking, now full turn in, try to get on full throttle. And just a note about here, you can see turn 5 bunker, you can see the bunker on the right before turn 8, and then when you get about middle of the road, you can actually kind of see turn 8 for a second. So these are just areas of flags that you can be looking for. There's another turn that has 2 lines. I short shift in the 4th here because if I'm full throttle in 3rd all the way through this corner, then I'm on the rev limiter about a second before I actually need to brake, and it unsettles it on top. So I short shift in the 4th, and then I turn in early. Some people turn in late, and one of the reasons you may want to do that is because once again, your car has a lot of power, and maybe you're entering with a lot more speed than I am. Instead of coming in early and extending out wide like I do, because turn 8, the turn right after this turn, is a hairpin, hard braking left turn, you need to be on the right side of the track. So if you're coming through this turn with so much speed and you can't get the car all the way over to the right if you run out wide because it unsettles the car too much before braking, then maybe you need to come in wider so that you can late apex this so that you kind of end up on the right side of the track. For me though, I can come in early. There's a bump right here to watch out for, so try to be inside of the bump or outside. I can't show you on the video because I didn't hit it, but I come in early and then I just hug the curb, let the car run wide. I just keep the same steering angle and then come out as wide as I can. The face of this curb is pretty hard. I've bent a wheel on that. Just try to avoid the beginning of the curb, but I run this curb all the time. Just be careful because there is a cement wall on the outside of here and a bunker, so don't kill yourself. So like I was saying before, I go out wide, so now I have to bring the car all the way to the right. If you're coming through there, so like I go through there and I'm not really accelerating with the power I have, I'm full throttle. I maybe lift at the beginning just to let the front end settle so I can turn in, but then I'm basically full throttle all the way through that turn. And I'm not accelerating past 90. It just stays at 90 while I'm going up the hill. So because of that, I'm not coming out here with a lot of speed. So I can afford to run wide, get all the way to the right without unsettling my car before braking. Once again, if you come through there really fast, you may not have time to get all the way to the right, which is why you would late apex this turn so that you can end up on the right side ready for this hairpin. So get all the way to the right. There's a lot of room over here. A lot of people brake kind of over here because they underestimate how much width there is. But like I'm not straddling the edge right now, and it looks like a quarter of my car is on the grass, but it's not. Brake in a straight line. This final bollard, you want to turn in when your front wheels cross that because you kind of want to semi-late apex on this hairpin. I'm a little conservative here. So I'm coming in. I broke a little bit better than I expected. So I started to turn in and it actually gripped up. Normally I turn in here and then, the weight transfer, and then by the time I hit this final bollard, my front wheels hit there. But this time it actually turned in. So a little bit of an early apex, but it's okay. So this is a bumpy curb. However, I get phenomenal grip off of it. Some people claim they don't, and that is very slippery. For me, that's not my experience. And once again, I'm only at 230 horsepower, which at altitude is 190. So take that for what it's worth. Come in. use the curb if you need to, and then full throttle. Full throttle because you have such a wide exit. A lot of people don't use this exit, but you can run, I mean, technically you can run all the way to the cones if you can make it back before the grass up here. So run this wide. Let the car push wide. Try not to scrub speed with too much steering angle. Let the steering angle open up and just let the car push to where it wants to go. You're far wide, stay right. You can hit this curb. There's no real reason to, but you can. Stay right, and then don't hug this corner for too long. Don't let yourself get sucked down this way, because then you have to get the car back to the left, and this is a hard braking zone down here. So hug this corner, but then straighten up. Try to come diagonal straight through here. Don't come the outside. Try not to hit this curb because it will unsettle the car. Try not to hit the grass before it. For me, I can hug it, and for me, this is all full throttle. You may have to lift. Try not to hit the brakes though, because it's downhill. And as soon as you hit the brakes, all that weight's going to go to the front, and your rear end's going to be super light. So coming in, my reference point for braking is this line. I don't brake at that line. That's my reference point. For me, my philosophy for this turn is don't trail brake it. Some people have success trail braking it. For me, it's quick jab of the brakes to get the front turned in, and then try to get on throttle as soon as I can. There's a big dip right here, and if you run your right wheels half on the curb and half in that dip, it just sucks you through. And it's my favorite corner. It's a phenomenal feeling. It wants to be taken on throttle. So come in, I just jab the brakes, turn in, and then we try to get on throttle as soon as we can. Brake, turn in, throttle. This is a very bumpy curb on the outside, so take that information for what it's worth. And now we come up to the second hardest turn, in my opinion. Turn 8's kind of hard because there's a hairpin, and getting your braking is important. But it really comes down to turn 6, the right hand, very sharp. I guess you can also kind of consider it a hairpin. Turn 2, and then this turn. So this is very much like turn 2. You can kind of see it's darker here. So try to be in the inner 1/3. Be in 1/3 from the outside. Don't run super deep in a straight line and then try to late apex this, in my case. Once again, there may be situations where your car is set up for that better, or maybe it can't carry as much speed through the corner, but you have a lot of power, so you once again sacrifice the entrance to get the late apex to get going. But for me, with my car, I have to keep momentum. So I try to go where the stickiest point is. I angle my car in, and I just throw it in there. And I do my hard braking now, and then I'm off the brakes, and now as soon as I turned in, I'm now about half to quarter brake, trail braking, until you'll see it right about here. I'm trying to apex-ish at the beginning of this curb. My car will settle, and that's when I've scrubbed enough speed so now I can go full throttle again. Scrub. Oh, I forgot that I drift this corner, my bad. So normally I'd be scrubbing speed there. Okay, so we're coming in early. Can hug it, pretend I'm not drifting, full throttle, and you can run as wide as you want. Just listen to the tires. When they're squealing, you get used to how loud they get when you have an acceptable slip angle. So through that corner, when you start hearing the squealing, give it more power until that sound changes. Obviously you can feel it changing, but sometimes listening to the tire is more helpful than what you're feeling through your foot. So come out there. This hill makes your car feel ungodly slow. And then stay left. There's no reason to go right here. So stay left. You can hit this curb, just absolutely not in the wet. This is pretty treacherous if it's kind of damp. Like, you may have traction everywhere, but then you come over this crest and immediately your back end comes out. So just be careful there. So we're coming through here into the final chicane. Hug this corner and then get to the right side of the track. Straight line it. And now we're here. Once again, super important that you're looking at this flag station because you can't see over this hill. So this is a common place to spin out in this final chicane. Make sure you're looking to see if potentially someone stopped on track or off track and they brought gravel on, etc., etc. So this turn, you don't want to outbrake yourself because you're going to fly off and you're going to catch air. So you want to brake early. However, lucky for us, the most forgiving, grippiest, nicest, most fun curb to take on this entire track is this first left-hand curb. Come in, brake early, and just turn in. So I'm turning in so early. You would think that maybe turn in here to get a nice apex through, but no, I'm basically trying to cut this entire corner out of the equation. Turn in, and I'm basically just trying to straight line this. I'm trying to get as close to the grass as I possibly can without going over, because there is a little bit of a lip there. But this curb is so smooth, it makes you feel like a real race car driver. So just don't fly off, brake early, turn in, and if you turn in too early, it's fine, just take more curb. So this sets you up for the front straight, so this is not only setting you up to finish your current lap, but it's also setting you up to start your next lap. So from this point on, this inside curb, you can hit it, but it's not recommended because it might mess you up for the final curb, and the final curb is the one that you really want to hit perfectly because that's your front straight speed. So I like to come in super early, which basically lines me up to not have to hit the second curb, and then we're just full throttle all the way through. It's just finger work from here. Whoop. Full throttle, and we are on to finish our lap and start our next one. And there we go. So that probably is a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but I hope that kind of helps give you an idea of, you know, my philosophy and what I'm kind of looking for as I go through. Once again, you know, try different things. Have fun with it. See what works best for your driving style, your car, your everything. But yeah, hopefully you can take something away from this and improve your lap times and have fun.